My virtual obsession, my romantic thriller, is now available on Amazon and other online retailers. This book explores the intersection of loneliness, love, and how chasing perfection through technology can lead to fantasy and reality colliding. My virtual obsession out now.
Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine Crestani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I'm joined by the beautiful Tina Estrella. So she is a certified existential kink coach, an internal family system informed practitioner, and a former professional dominatrix. Her work lives at the intersection of shadow work, nervous system management, and inner parts-based psychology. She helps self-aware people who are done with pop culture and mindset hacks understand why they keep self-sabotaging what they consciously want and how to turn those inner conflicts into allies. Before coaching, she worked professionally with power dynamics, consent, desire, and shadow in a very embodied real world way. Today, she translates those principles into her work using the internal family systems approach, radical self approval as baseline for change, and somatic awareness. Instead of trying to fix anxiety, procrastination, or shutdown, she helps clients see how these patterns are intelligent strategies driven by inner parts, often protecting love, safety, or belonging. As someone who has found out rather late in life that she fits the ADHD spectrum, she finds these concepts extremely helpful for people with neurodiversity as they add a lot of ease and nuance to the usual tools for spicy brained folks. So a big welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much for having me.
And you have such a variety of things that you do, but also a very unique journey of getting there. So
Yeah.
how did you step from being in the dominatrix world and then moving into working with people from the somatic point of view with internal family systems and shadow work and all those good juicy things?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So that was a transition, really. For me, being a dominatrix, being intensely immersed in the BDSM world was actually part of my own healing journey. So I had been diagnosed with borderline before and OCD and like deep depression. So many diagnoses that did not really sit with me at some point. I was like, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. And in that time, I discovered BDSM and I found out how much juiciness is in embracing your inner deep, dark desires and personalities we all have. Like some lead to more extent than others, but we all have parts of us that the logical mind goes like, "What? Like really? Why?" And that for me was BDSM. That was really like playing out those scenarios I had in my head. Yeah, from there it just naturally transitioned into being interested in more healing work. In shamanism came up and I started doing workshops and a training in shamanic body work. And from there, like I went to festivals, I worked on healing festivals and things like that. And then over time, I arrived at internal family system, which for me personally was the most profound and most effective healing tool as well. It just was like I was like landed there fully. It integrated the BDSM part because in internal family system we also look at parts who have good intentions, but the way of bringing us their gifts, the intentions they have for us are like got a bit wonky on the way of growing up. And so that just merged. It just is looking at things from a different side, but the core is the same principle.
Which is so intriguing because sometimes we forget to look at things from different perspectives. And it's always, there's three sides to every story, right? Your perspective, the other person's perspective, and then what really happens. That's what's kind of in the middle. But our brain likes to cling on to those stories to create whatever it needs to create around that moment.
Yeah. And the question is like, what is really happening? Who's saying what is actually really happening? Like, I'm currently now at this like perspective of like, the only thing that I can truly know for sure is what I'm experiencing in my own nervous system. Everything else is like, is this really like the reality someone else is experiencing completely differently because they are like in a different nervous system. So that is their reality. Who's to say like which one is the one? Is there the one? I'm not so sure.
I agree with you there. And it's funny because my husband and I have this discussion all the time. And he's like, I'm only going to believe it if I see it with my own eyes. I'm like, but you're breathing air. You can't see that. And he's like, okay, I'm only going to believe it if I actually feel it. And then I was like, okay. And then, and then we just keep, extending it, and then it keeps going further. But exactly like you said, but you can only control yourself. You can't control anything else happening around you. Like the world can be falling down, but you're the one that's responsible for you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And for me it's really like this that shifted so much because I was so for me like in internal family systems we look at the different parts and very often we are so identified with certain parts that we don't see anymore that there is another integrated us self like the whole the capital S self like the higher self whatever people want to call it that is like always at center, always at peace. There is this integrated of all parts version of you that is like fine, no matter what. But we like get pulled into these parts, and then we're so identified with this one part of ourselves that we believe that's us. We are this part who's spinning, who's having troubles, who's like, I was very much identified with the victim. My inner victim was like so loud that I was like, this is, and then that's how your reality shifts is when you are identified with this one certain part, you perceive the whole world from their perspective. So at these times, like the world for me was a harsh place, it was ugly, it was unfair, and that's the only thing I could see. I could not like identified so much with this one version, I could not see the beauty in the world. It was like non-existent. It just wasn't there. Like the glass was always half empty or fully empty. And so for me, that's why I'm saying like this internal family system was like interesting. Yes, I can see this is like one version of me and that's her reality, but there are so many more. And then there's the one that I call that always like the driver's seat, the person in the driver's seat or the shepherd of the herd. And when you like learn how to stay more in the driver's seat, you can then navigate your sheep and hold your sheep and be like, be the one who's like, yeah, I know. Right now, life sucks. It's hard what we're experiencing right now. And also, the sun is still shining, the flowers are still growing. So it allows you to come back to that, yeah, okay. Actually, right now, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I love that analogy because that keeps coming up. Someone said to me just a couple of days ago, who do you want driving that car? Do you want the self-saboteur? Do you want the person that likes the self-loathing? Do you want the unworthy person version of you driving that car? Or do you prefer this version of you that's just, yeah, okay, this is where we're at and I'm okay, exactly like you said.
And from that driver's seat, like you can also then start to like connect with the saboteur, for example, better. And then you come to the point where you're like, oh, their pattern of self-sabotage, it's just their pattern. That's not their true identity. And then you start like that's what you also do in internal family system. You reframe who they actually are because with that pattern of self-sabotage, they're actually probably trying to give you something like safety, protecting you from failure, protecting you from negative experience, whatever it is. That's very individual. And then you can start to reframe and stop calling the part the self-saboteur. And then it's the part who's like trying to give you safety. And that makes such a huge different relationship internally. Like that internal tug of war, it just stops because you start to see like it's not a saboteur. It's someone who's inside of me, part of me who's trying to give me safety. That is such a different dialogue then.
I love synchronicities because this person also that told me about the driver's seat, he said to me, have you met your self-saboteur yet? And I said, no. He goes, you need to go look in the mirror and look at her and see what she wants. So I did that today, just before we got on, like maybe a few hours ago. And she's like, well, I don't want you to have everything that you want, because then what are we going to want? I was like, more things? And she's like, but then, everything always goes bad. That's what always happens whenever we get everything that we want, something goes bad. And I was like, thank you, but that doesn't have to happen. And then, and it was just that acceptance of like, oh, okay, exactly like you said, it was just this
Yeah,
protection and trying to keep me safe in that
yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where inner child healing like merges. It's really like, like we said, from different perspectives, because those parts usually are, they get created when we're like having harsh challenges as kids, as infants, or as teenagers even, and we don't know how to handle the situation. Then those parts come up with like solutions that work in that moment. But as adults, they don't give us what we want anymore. For me, the North Star really of any tool, of any practice, of any whatever it is, has become like, is what I'm doing, is the practice, the tool, giving me the results that I want? That's it. Because ultimately, like, we all got to find out the ones that are doing this, that are giving us the results that we are looking for. And when I was still looking at this inner child, I don't know, something was missing in the concept of it's just being this inner child. I think I got pulled into the feeling sorry for that inner child, not realizing that that part is a different part. It's not yet integrated. If you feel constantly sorry for your inner child, you're not in the driver's seat. That's another part. And so for me, that's why this internal family system made so much sense, gave me that result of being like, okay, the inner saboteur, she is very young. Sometimes it helps to ask them, like, how old do you think I am? And then very often then it comes something like 4 or 5. And then you're like, I'm 50 this year. And then it becomes this revelation, oh, and I can handle it. The conversation turns more into something of like an adult, an emotionally adult talking to the inner child, instead of another sorry part that is also still not really knowing what to do with life. Because life is intense. Let's be honest. I mean, life is intense.
100%.
Being in a human body while also being like pure consciousness at the same time, that's that's intense.
I met up with my spiritual mentor a few months ago, and she's like, okay, you have to be okay with being in this boring human form. Because, because I can see timelines and everything like that. She's like, yeah, actually, no, you just have to accept that you're in your human form currently. And that, yeah, it's crazy. And I often say to people, when there's lots of things happening in the world, I said, yeah, I've just pulled my popcorn out and I'm just sitting here, just watching
Exactly.
it, just staying neutral, going, oh, it's like, there was a meme. I don't know why this popped into my head. There was a meme that popped up on Instagram, and there was these aliens watching TV, and they're like, hey, dude, have you checked out this newest reality TV series? They're like, what are you talking about? It's like Humans 2026. And they're going, oh my goodness, how did I not know about this? There's so much drama. But the point
Yeah.
is that there is so much drama, but circling back to what you started with, is it's you get the choice of how you want to react to it. And if you want to sit and get pulled into that lane, or you can just sit there and be neutral and say, oh, okay, thank you for all of that that's happening, but I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do with my life right now.
And that's where my merging with the BDSM and the existential kink approach, because existential kink is very close to internal family system, just more from the kinky aspect. You can even enjoy the drama. I mean, look at movies, look at TV shows, look at anything really. Like, for me, in my own like process, I was for a while in the yogic meditation healing hippie community. And there were parts of me who were bored to death, bored to death. They were like, only love and light? Like, seriously, like, where's the fun in that? It's just vanilla ice cream all day long? Like, where's the dark chocolate? And so from the existential kink approach, you can be like, even give yourself permission, give these parts of you who like scarcity, they're just like, because ultimately what we're afraid of is just the sensations that we have in our bodies when we're having the experience of scarcity, for example. Like the moment you look at your bank account and oh my God, it's empty again. And there's all these builds, those sensations in your nervous system, like that rush of whatever substances get ejected from your nervous system. That's what we're afraid of. It's not the future, like mind story of whatever happens, because if you have noticed, very often it does not happen in the way you imagine it in that moment to happen. Somehow, magically, mystically, life keeps going on. We're still here. That whole like insane drama story that we made up in our heads at that moment that we looked at the bank account, it never really takes place. So working with that moment of like, and allowing the part of you that enjoys those sensations, like really feel this part of me really like this. There's aliveness in it. There's juice in it. And when you learn to like squeeze different types of juice, oh my God, life becomes so beautiful, because there's even like pleasure and fun in the taboo things. BDSM, like the logical mind like says like, what? Having myself bound to somewhere and get spanked? Why? Why would I do that?
Why not?
Why not? There's aliveness in it. Why not?
Well, yeah, and it's that whole, how do you know unless you've tried it? It's that whole, like, we just go into that judgment instead of actually let me explore that and see if it does align with me or if it doesn't align with me. Or I was talking to a friend recently and we were talking about um, how a lot of women feel shameful talking about reading. She called it smut. I'm like, but it's not smut. It's like beautiful sexual scenes that are in a book and they make you excited and happy and, drive up your pleasure systems. And within a
Exactly.
couple of days of this conversation, then I was in a meditation and we were talking about the power of the orgasm and how if you learn how to channel your orgasm and pull it up through your chakras, you can have multiple orgasms, but also that energy goes out into the collective and actually causes a shift of frequency from the point of pleasure and joy and that high level vibration. So then I laughed at myself because I was having an orgasm and I'm like, I'm doing this for the collective.
Here you are, everyone. Welcome. Yeah,
But
amazing.
the point of that is just we've been so conditioned about sex, but also about how to expect ourselves and what there's so much. I've had so many people in this show where we've talked about all the conditioning that has come, like all the shame around talking about sex and pleasure. And like you said, even the juicy bits in the parts of like being in scarcity. Why is there juicy bits in there? Because a lot of people don't realize if they can't step out of a loop, like they constantly have no money or they constantly have no clients or whatever it is, and showing up, you're getting a reward on it on some level, and you have to figure
Exactly.
out what the juiciness is, like you said. Otherwise, you're gonna not know how to put that juiciness into other aspects of your life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's also the principle of this whole existential kink approach and the meditation and the practice of it is like you do it in meditative state. You just like, because there's one of the axioms, it's like supposing that if this were true, how would my world you look differently? So desire moves through fulfillment. It does not move through pushing it away of saying, well, this is bad. I don't want that with the logical mind. Like you said, like what we resist persists. Like it just keeps showing up. It keeps showing up. It keeps showing up because a part of you is just in total awe and wonder and delight of that experience. Like, oh my God, we're doing it again. Isn't that like the best thing on planet Earth to experience? And so, as long as we're not making this unconscious desire and pleasure conscious, the subconscious will keep doing its thing and be like, amazing, I'm getting exactly what I came here for. Let's roll. This life is exactly what I want. But we consciously also want things, and that's fine. So merging those two and like acquainting the unconscious with the conscious and be like, okay, you have had your thing for very long. Like there's also other things I want. Like we're kind of in conflict here. Can we like come to an agreement? And that very often and very easily and deliciously works through this existential kink practice, because you allow yourself to have those peaks and really to allow yourself to peak to the point of full body orgasm in this moment of scarcity, for example, but in a surrounding, in a like a, it's not like in real life where then instantly like the logical mind kicks in and is like, no, 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 no. It's very difficult like to practice this in the moment itself in real life when you have not done it before. At some point you do, but at the beginning it's really helpful to set a container, like be in meditative state, no one to bother, have your candles, your incense, whatever not. And then really like feel into it and be like, huh, there it is. Yeah, there. Oh, wow. And I remember my first times, I was like blown away how much energy is stored and being denied and therefore stuck within our systems when we try to push those bad, nasty, whatever, like also society labels them a lot, experiences.
Mm, yeah, 100%. And this is the essence of shadow work in itself, right? It's like you have to unpack those parts that you've been pushing down and pushing down and pushing down and actually see where it comes out. And that's what it seems like. But from my understanding, what you're sharing, Tina, is that from the existential kink approach, it's also actually finding the pleasure that's hidden under all that pain, all that the lower vibrations you keep yourself in for
In the
whatever
pain,
reason.
in the pain. That's the logical mind at some point cannot follow any longer. It's like it cannot. The logical mind cannot fathom how pain can be pleasure. It's a contradiction for the logical mind. It is not for the nervous system, for the body, for the subconscious. And that's where like support comes in because like I try to figure this out like on my own. Well, for me, coming through the BDSM world, it made a lot of sense because I had experienced it like in that version already, but still like adapting those principles to my regular public, normal day-to-day life. I was still like, how? I'm not getting it. And that's where like being in a community, being with a coach, being with someone who has walked that path, who can like give you this transmission and can you like guide there, is just so immensely helpful. Because sometimes we take like 20, 30, 40 extra rounds and be like, well, I'm back here. I don't know. I missed something in the way. What was it? And that's where a coach can come in or a guide and be like, that here, that's the second where you like went back into the old thing and missed the new timeline. Yeah.
Yes, I'm laughing because it's like it's so true. And sometimes we're really stubborn and we want to do it ourselves, for whatever reason. But sometimes that just prolongs the process rather than going, hey, universe, who can I have come in right now and support me? And sure enough, someone will show up if you're open to it. But if you just keep yourself in that loop and go, I can do it myself, I can do it myself. Like you said, you miss sometimes the small things. You miss
Yeah.
the one little thing that might have been holding you in that in that lower state, I want to say. And, stopping you from seeing the synergy of what's happening and how to step into that, like you said, new timeline and step into that new version of you.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And in my experience, that's also another part, the part who's always like, no, I can do that by myself. No, I'm not going to ask for help now. No, like, this hyper independence. That's another part of us who's like trying to give us something good, but their pattern is like telling you all the time you are about to reach out. We all know those moments where like, oh, I could book this course. I really feel drawn to this person. Like your system is already giving you clear signals that is like where like you speed up the process, where there is something for you. And then that part kicks in, be like, yeah, you know what? So yeah,
Yes. And then you self-sabotage yourself.
that's one version of like keeping. I mean, the system likes to keep homeostasis. That is something we
Yes.
need to understand. Like we need to understand that resistance is very often that is this waiver sign. Resistance is the sign that's telling you here, it's here, here's your growth edge. And our system, though, also would like to stay exactly where we are because that brought us here. That is for some parts of us, or for especially for the ego, that's the safest place they know because we are here. It made us survive everything we have experienced so far. So many parts like resist change. That's new, that's unknown, that's dangerous. You never know what comes out of it. And yet that's where all the magic is. It's in the unknown. It's in the field of possibilities. It's like the ego has so limited view. Like if you imagine you keep looking through a keyhole your whole life, and that is what you see, and that is your reality. And at some day, someone just opens the door and be like, you see, this is everything that is behind that keyhole. That can be intense for the system. So it's really helpful to have someone who's guiding you, like, let's open the door slowly. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you just I had this client and I remember I said, I have to draw you this picture. And it was like her sitting in this room. And there was like a wall in front of her that was mostly boxed up, but there was like tiny slits. And that's all she was being allowed to see from these people on the outside.
Yeah.
And I said, how do you get out of this room? Because I wanted her to figure out. She goes, oh, I don't know. Like maybe I can. I was like, no, turn around. And then sure enough, she could it was just a three-sided wall. She just had to walk out a different way. But it's again that perspective of I actually didn't realize I was too busy focusing on all these other things and trying to stay safe
Exactly.
in that I couldn't see this other path out. And I still
Yeah.
remember drawing that drawing, going, actually, no, just turn around. She's like, oh, oh, I
Yeah.
can. I can. It's like, yes, you
Yeah.
can. So this is what it all comes down to, and having that right support, exactly like you said, feeling like you're in a space, but also having the courage yourself to challenge your little homeostasis world a little bit so you can take that step and create something new, because unless you choose to leave something behind, the whole energy can't
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
transferred to that new
Yeah.
thing either.
Yeah, that has to come from everybody from within, is like this desire to change, this wanting to try something new, to wanting to step out of the box. It is no one can do that for you. No one can drag you there. You can't drag anybody else also. I see this very often. My partner XYZ, da 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 da. Our relationship, da 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 da. If my partner, da 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 da. I'm like, yeah, you're like banging your head against the wall every time you say that, because the only thing you can change is yourself. So, what is your part in it to change this relationship? And again, that comes back to there's a part of us who's like always trying to fix everything outside of ourselves for us to be safe. That's what we like, many of us did when we were like very small, and our caregivers and everything did not make any sense. And we just made it like, this is us, we're wrong. So we got to change everything around us. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And I love the point that you brought up that you can't change anybody else, because
you can.
you can't, you
You
can't.
can.
Yeah.
And that's hard sometimes. It's really sometimes. Just the other day, I had this experience myself again. It's like, okay, Tina, I'm currently like entering menopause, and perimenopause is intense as fuck. Dear Lord, is that intense? I did not expect it to be that intense sometimes. Like going through 4 weeks of luteal phase. I have never prayed so much hard to get my period in my entire life before. And that really triggered the victim inside of me. I was like, even me, it's not something that we're like free of for the rest of our life because it clicked once, this whole new circumstance, this whole new experience in my body and my nervous system. I had only read about before. I'd never been there in this experience
Mm.
before. And so the victim got very loud and was like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is so unfair. Life is so unfair. And at some point, I just realized, like, yeah, but the world is kind of still the same. The world did not actually change within those last 2 weeks that much. And then I was like, oh, then I woke up and was like, oh, actually it's me having this fairly intense experience. And also I jumped like fully on the trauma train. And the moment you notice, that's always the thing. The moment you notice, that's the moment you can step off
Mm.
if you want to. You gotta be willing to step off the train though.
Yeah. But then also, like, everything else happening in our astrology at the moment would have just amplified the blood moon. You had the blood moon, and then you had we're
I
in
know.
Mercury retrograde. You have full moon. You have the horse shit. You have we're in an intense
Exactly.
time astrologically. Like when we're recording this, we're in March currently. We will listen to this a
Yeah,
bit later.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I messaged my friend the other day and I said, she goes, "Oh, how are you going?" I said, "Honestly, this full moon is kicking my ass."
So intense. It was so intense.
And she goes, "Oh, thank goodness, me too." And then but then on the contrast, I had an interview, like doing a channel with a male, and he was like, "Hey, how you been?" I said, "Oh God, this full moon and this blood moon and the Mercury and the eclipse." And he goes, "My goodness, it's me too." And I thought, "Oh, thank goodness it's not just the women." Like, so this is from a male perspective, feeling it as well. But it's just really being aware that actually, no, this isn't my homeostasis or my version of me. And like you said, how can I get back to, or am I upgrading and going through a frequency shift? What can I do that will help me get through that quicker? Or what can I do to support myself? Or is this
Exactly.
where I pick up the phone and call? I'm still old school. Pick up the phone and call that person I know that can support me through this. Do I need a massage? Do I need to go get an energy session? Do I need to go, whatever it is, a shadow work session, an existential kink coach session, whatever it might be? This is where you need to know yourself well enough to know how to
Exactly.
contrast that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Have your toolkit there available, but then also use it. I like very often when people start out like healing journey and shadow work and whatever not, like we're all at some point we were at gathering mode. You gather new tools, you try out this, you try out that. "Oh, that didn't work so well. That were but at some point you gotta realize like I have my toolkit now. I know what works when shit hits the fan. I know what to do. I know who to call. And then comes the next phase where like you need to apply that stuff. And then you meet new parts. Then you need new resistance. Then you meet new like I at some point, because I had always been like very prone to addiction, at some point I realized like, hmm, I think I'm currently suffering of shadow work addiction. It's like this. I need a new tool. I need this. I need another ceremony. Still, Tina, I think you just need to start doing the things instead of talking about them, instead of like looping with other people around them. That is like a very particular kind of state. And the ego does not like that. Spiritual ego is so intense. People get like really annoyed when you're like, you sure you need another? Maybe like just do what you already know is working, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes it's, for me, I realized that too when everyone around me was like, "Hey, do you want to go on this plant medicine? Go have this plant medicine." And I'm not putting plant medicine down because I think it has a beautiful place to help you get out of your own head, and step aside. At one point, because I was doing repay, and I didn't enjoy it, but I did find it helped me get the clarity to start
Yeah. Yeah.
going
Yeah.
into deeper meditations, which helped me on my journey. But then I got to a point and my friend's like, "Hey, do you want some repay?" I'm like, my intuition went, "No, we don't need that anymore. We can
Mhm.
actually just do
Mhm.
it." And then it's having that contrast of, okay, that was just a tool to get me to where I am. Else is in my toolbox that I know will work, but isn't as you said, getting addicted to it and getting
Yeah.
dependent on it so that it becomes your new crux and it becomes your new
Exactly.
thing that you get
Yeah.
stuck in.
Yeah. And for me, it was even like the addiction came in of like, I need something new all the time.
Hmm.
It was not even the things like plant medicine was very obvious. I could see like people whom I started out with. I mean, I did ayahuasca. I had some really profound ceremonies.
Yeah.
I'm still integrating them today, and it has been like 10 years. And I very quickly realized, okay, you don't need a new plant medicine ceremony. Like you're still like getting the downloads from the ones. So that was easy. But for me, it was this like needing or believing I needed something new all the time instead of doing the things that were like working and giving me the shifts. when things get hard. When things get hard, do the practice when things get hard. Like right now with this whole hormonal shift. I was like not doing the practices anymore. I was just like in drama mode. And then I realized, oh, Tina, maybe you're so stiff because you didn't stretch for 2 days. What about that? Like, the consciousness started to kick in. We're like, oh, actually, I I was going like full on the old drama train of, oh my God, this is way too heavy. And where's my savior? The victim always looks for the savior. And so, like, a lot of the shadow work addiction I see with people is also like they're constantly like, you're scrolling on social media looking for that new tool. Is it really the new tool that you need? Or are you like satisfying your addictive behavior of scrolling and giving it the excuse of, but I need a new tool? Like the mind is so sneaky.
It is.
It's
And
so tricky
and
to
the
get
truth
what it wants, like addiction is like very sneaky to get you what they want. Those parts, they are very clever.
Yeah, 100%. But the truth is, if it is a new tool or someone new that you really need, it'll just drop into your lap. Like it's insane. You don't even have to look for it. So even my husband and I were looking for, we had like this skin ailment and we were looking for something to use instead of the pharmaceutical version because we're like, this doesn't feel right. But we were desperate. And then sure enough, on my Instagram feed, not even trying, I was just on there posting and doing my little social media thing for the day. It came up saying, "Hey, instead of using this, which was the thing we
Yeah,
didn't want, use this instead." And it was all organic and all natural. And I said to my
yeah,
husband, "Look at this,"
yeah,
because it came. And this is the thing: like, if you do need something, it will arrive as long as you're open and looking for
yeah,
it and
yeah,
being aware of it too.
yeah. That's why I like the practice of summoning. I summon. I love to summon things.
I
Like,
love that.
from this really deeply, what do I actually need? Not what's the mind telling me what I need. What's my whole body, my whole system like? And damn, that works. It works so well. Like I summoned like a spring in Germany. We've never had that spring for so many years. I'm not saying I'm the only one who summoned it because we were all like longing intensely for sun, but it works. And the same for like, I always say like God is also on Instagram and on Spotify. And
And Google.
just put it out there, put your desire, your summoning out there, ask for and you shall receive. It has been always like,
100%. And there's so many examples, but I'm conscious we have to start to finish our time together. Tina,
yeah,
I asked the guests that come on the show if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
if I could change, definitely the victim cult that we're currently living in. The victim cult. It's really this who's got it worse, who's having the more difficult time. It's like this Olympics of gold medal of, oh my God, I'm the greatest victim. And I've been one of the most, how do you say, persistent players in this game. So I know the immense shift that you have in your own life when you like realize, oh my God, I'm back in the victim mode. So that is something, if I could change that, like that's why I'm doing what I'm actually doing. Is to like, let's do different Olympics. Let's do Olympics about, oh my God, life is so good. How can we make it even better? That's a way more fun game to play in my perspective.
Well, it's the created triangle, right? Instead of the drama
Yeah,
triangle, it's stepping into the
exactly.
creation energy. And then you can create anything. Why not?
And so it is.
And so it is. And if people want to come and find you, Tina, or connect with you, where can they go?
Yeah. So you probably have my link tree in the episode somewhere, and you find me on the socials. It's either Tina Estrella or it's Flow State Manager Tina. And my webpage is also tinaestrella.com. So I'm kind of everywhere.
Beautiful. Well, I'll make sure to connect with you everywhere and also to put all those details in the show notes. But thank you so much, Tina, for giving us such a insight into how it's finding the pleasure and the pain and also just
Hmm.
accepting all those parts of yourself so that you can step forward and create the life you want and not be a victim.
Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, that was really great conversation. Thanks a lot.
Are you looking for an afternoon boost to support you until the children go to bed or to get through that evening meeting? Why not reach for a cup of ceremonial cacao? It will boost your energy, reduce your inflammation, and also allow you to go to sleep at a decent hour. For more information on how to grab your ceremonial cacao, check out the link in the show notes for 10% off.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.